Not so long ago, when you purchased a brand new EV, you got the car and you also got a granny lead that came free with the vehicle. What's a granny lead, I hear you ask? Well, it's so called because it's the charging cable that you would use when you went to go and see a relative who didn't have an EV. Unfortunately, for some reason, everyone decided that was the granny lead because grannies don't drive EVs. Except I know plenty who do. But granny leads were essential to early EV ownership because they let you charge wherever you happen to be without needing to find a dedicated charging station. You simply plug in one end of your granny lead into a wall outlet, the other end into your car, and voila! Your car started to charge. But with electric car battery packs getting larger and larger and the range going up, which is a great thing for all of us, the practicality of using a granny lead to charge your EV is not great. Which is why many automakers are no longer including free granny cables with their EVs. You either have to buy one and spec it at the point of sale, or you have to go hunting for one on the internet afterwards, which is why we are here today looking at some of the charging cables that Lectron offers for customers who don't have a granny cable of their own. But is a granny cable really useful in 2022? Well, let's go down to the garage and find out. Here we are in my wife's woodworking shop, which is great because it's got a nice big table and I can show you all of these granny cables. And I know granny cables far better than I know woodworking equipment. Before I get going, a full disclaimer, Lectron did send us these granny cables as well as a charging station and a couple of other charging things to test out. There's no money being exchanged. This is not an advertisement. This is a full review. We've been testing both of these units out for a while. We've tested out the charge station a little bit. We've also tested out this adapter, which I will come to in a second. Again, we did get offered a CCS to Tesla 50 kilowatt rapid charging unit, and we've been trying to test it for literally months, and it got to the point where we just asked Lectron, can we send it back to you? It didn't work. Lectron makes a CCS to Tesla adapter, which on paper sounds great. It allows you to charge a North American Tesla at any CCS charging station. But the issue was that every time Tesla updated the software of either its supercharging stations or its cars, Lectron then had to roll out an update so that it would continue working, and in our experience, we never actually got it to work properly. So depending on what product you buy from this company will depend on the experience that you have. I will come to the Tesla adapter for low speed charging later on because this one does work and it's very different to the high-speed CCS to Tesla adapter, which is clunky and you should just go and buy the Tesla one. But in case you need to use a Tesla destination charger, like I say, we'll come to this one in a second. So first up, granny cables. This is a very standard granny cable setup. It comes in a variety of different plug options that you can go to the Lectron website and specify exactly which one you want. So I've got two versions here. This one is a standard American household plug. We've been using this one for the last couple of months as our spare granny charger. We have lots of electric cars here at the channel, as you know, and very often people are visiting the house or the studio and need an extra plug. We have 3 full power charging stations that are pretty much permanently hooked up to the house, but on the occasion that we need to slow charge someone overnight using a granny cable, this one is our go-to now. It plugs in to the water pump shed at the other end of our property. We plug it in and that means that someone can park away from the house and they can charge up. Now, how slow you charge on this will depend on your vehicle's efficiency. Most level 1, this is a level 1 charging station, will charge at a couple of miles per hour. So if you've got an original Nissan Leaf, it would take just over a day to charge it up. You've got something like the F-150 Lightning pickup truck like I have, you're looking at nearly a week to charge up. This one has got a 30 amp dryer outlet on it. And the advantage of this one is that you can then, if you're visiting your granny and your granny has a dryer outlet, most people do. This is a 3-prong North American dryer outlet. You can plug that in and it turns this in to a 16 amp level 2 charging station. And that's a big difference. So 16 amp level 2 is about what we used to get in the UK with our portable charge cable granny leads out of the box. So with that, it's not as fast as a dedicated plug on the wall charging station, but it does mean that you're going to be able to get an overnight charge. Now we've used both this one and this one, no problems. They seem pretty robust, no issues with overheating, no issues with any weird faults. The cars have never stopped charging. For this one though, we've had to use a special adapter cable, which plugs in like this. And then I plug that into our NEMA 1450 outlet. The reason I like this is not made by Lectron. This is a special extra pigtail that I purchased from a camping store. But it means I've got 1450 charge connection, and then I've got a dryer socket connection. While there are smarter options out there, so the F-150, for example, came with a dedicated charging station that you can swap between a level 1 and a level 2 charging unit just by switching on a different end. This is good if you know for sure that you're going to be able to charge at a certain level wherever you happen to be. If you have a family member who's a little leery about you putting a charging station on your home, but is more than happy to have this sitting in a cupboard somewhere so that when you go over to visit, you can plug it into a nearby dryer outlet in the garage or maybe in a workshop and charge that way, jobs are good and you're going to be fine. I really like how this case helps keep everything protected. It's a robust case. It's not a hard case. It's got like a soft outer shell on it, but it does mean that you're not going to get it covered in sawdust, which in this place is a bit of an issue. There are some things though that I don't like about it. This front feels a bit sticky and a bit cheap. The quality of the construction on this is not the best. And I would also say that this cable feels a little underrated for the amount of power going through it. Technically, it's fine, but I like my charge cables to be a little more chunky, bit like me, so that when I'm charging, I know that it's absolutely going to have the right power going through it. Now, this is effectively the same external as the level 1 unit, and you can see they're pretty much the same on the outside. This one has been sat outside for weeks at a time, has not had any issues. This one has not overheated either, but it hasn't been treated quite as roughly because we don't use this one as much, because we need a 240 volt supply in order to use this one. This is a 1030 and that's a 615, I think. If you're watching and you're outside of North America, just be glad that you live outside of North America, because America has so many freaking charging standards. 1450, 1030. I still don't get it. If you're going to be using this occasionally, you don't need it to have the kind of lifespan that you would have if you were using a wall-mounted unit every single day. And I should point out here, if you do want a dedicated charging station for your EV, you shouldn't be buying something like this, because these are not designed for permanent installation. Even though they have a hook on them, they're not designed to be used every single day. What you really need to use, regardless of whether you are in North America, Europe, or somewhere else, is a dedicated charging station that has been wired in and certified by an electrician. But if you happen to be a renter and you live in a rental property, this could save you. So this plug here, the 1030, is the plug that we had in our first rental when we moved to America. Had I got this particular unit, I could have actually just used this to charge my car rather than what we ended up doing, which was paying extra to put in a dedicated charging station. There is a 1450 version of that with one of these on, which gives you a little bit more power, and Lectron do make dedicated wall-mounted charging stations, which is what this thing is right over here. Now, we've tried using this, and it's got a nice metal mounting plate. You slide the unit onto the mounting plate. I'm not going to take that off now. You get all of the hardware in the box. I've not been particularly impressed with this unit. It's felt a little bit cheap, to be honest, and I have used other charging stations with more technology. I like fully connected charging stations that allow me to ramp down the power and ramp up. And if you're into home automation like I am, I really like the juice boxes that we've got, because we can tie in our solar panels on the roof and tie in how much power our charging station is putting out. So I have a script for my home automation setup using Home Assistant that tells me if our solar panels are not producing enough power, ramp down the charger output so that I know that my vehicles are being charged on sunlight we're generating, the power we're generating, from the sunlight hitting our solar panels on the roof. Which brings me to what I think is the most useful product that Lectron makes. It's also one of the most affordable. This is a Tesla destination to J1772. On one end is an inlet like you would find on a North American Tesla, and on the other, a J1772 inlet, which is what you get in most North American market EVs that aren't Teslas. And what you can do with this is you can turn up at a Tesla destination charger. You can plug the Tesla charger in here. You then plug this into your car, and this is just a mechanical connection. There are no electronic smarts going on in here. It's just a dumb mechanical transferer from the power that's coming in on this end to the power that goes out on that end. And it means you can use a slow destination charger that's designed for a Tesla with any EV on the market. It is not a supercharger to slow speed adapter. And there's been a couple of videos of people trying to do this using a supercharger on this end and plugging it into their car. It won't work, because for that you need a whole lot of extra special electronics that are not in here. And if you plug in a supercharger on this end, nothing will happen here. So don't try it. If I hadn't already been sent one on review, I think I probably would be buying one of these with my hard-earned cash. I'm not 100% convinced that I would be buying either of the granny leads, because I personally do not have a use for them, but I definitely have a use for this. And we're doing a long road trip in 2 weeks' time. We're driving to Colorado. We're towing a car to Colorado with my F-150 Lightning. We're going to be taking that with us, because this is going to be really useful when we go to Fully Charge Live in San Diego. We'll be taking this with us again, so that we've got charging versatility on the road. And this is so small, it just fits in your trunk, under your seat, whatever. And it really makes charging easier on the road. So there you have it. Those are all of the charging things that Lectron sent us. As I say, to pass on the dedicated charging station, these two are, if you need them, they are good value for money. And this is absolutely must have if you are someone who road trips a lot in a non-Tesla EV and you want to have more versatility on the road. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, please consider giving it a thumbs up and sharing it with your friends. And don't forget to leave your thoughts below or in our free to join Discord chat room. There are links in the video description. And if you really liked it, please do consider leaving us a super thanks. It's easy to do, and everything you do send our way goes towards helping us make great content. If you haven't already, do make sure you subscribe to this channel and our other channel, Transport Evolved Take 2, and give the bell a gentle ding to make sure you're told when our next video goes live. Thanks on behalf of the entire crew go out to everyone who makes TE possible. That includes everyone who supports us on Patreon and YouTube, as well as those of you who watch and share our videos. If you're a supporter at the charged up level, you'll see your name right here on my right. And if you just joined and your name's not there, don't worry, we render the list every week or so sometimes it takes a while for those names to appear. Thanks to our self-driving tier supporters, Chris Maxwell, Pedro Pinheiro, Patrick Boyarsky, Bennett Elder, Brian Newton, Dave Kitchen, Michael Goad, Ricky Leon, Andrew Martin, Guido Drahota, Brophy Wolf, Tesla in the Gong, Gordon C, Stephen O'Donoghue, Carl Hodgson, Anthony Coates, Ray Jean Fellows, Dan Blair, Jim Burness, Chris Centaur, Chris and Michael Johnson, Pete and Dilger, and Denny Hyde, and of course, super out of this world thanks to our Starman supporters: Anonymous Freak, Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, Rory Litwin, Joe Bresney, Reed R, JP Fagerback, Russ, Will Graylin, Matthew Drobnak, Kevin Boroughbridge, John Lyons, Andrew Glenn, Paul Conway, Laura Reynolds, Ellery Hensley, and Ian. If you'd like to be part of this amazing list, you can join Patreon at the link below, hit the join button to support us on YouTube, or show us your support through Bitcoin, Ko-fi, or our cool swag store. There are links below. And if you are unable to support us financially, just know that watching the video and sharing it really does make a difference, especially since we've been rolling back our production schedule to focus instead on making the very best videos we possibly can. Thanks for joining me, and as always, keep evolving!